listening to the EMG Radio Show. I'm your host, Andre Haynes. We are live at Greenspun Hall on the UNLV campus on 91.5 The Rebel HD2, KUNV Las Vegas, the broadcast service of UNLV. I'd like to welcome to some and present to others my friend and your friend, the host with the most, Steve Allen.
Hey, thank you, Andre. Thank you very much. This is Steve Allen with What Happened to Las Vegas Today, and I have the privilege of having one of the most world-renowned artists that I know, that the world knows, that this guy's been around forever and is fantastic and has worked with some of the greats in the world. I have none other than Neal Portnoy in the studio with me.
Nice to be here. I didn't realize I was old after that description.
Not as old as me, but been around doing people that I could only hope to ever be around.
You know, it's funny. I always tell the story growing up, and I grew up in the East Coast outside of Boston. My boys growing up, they used to say to me, "Daddy, you know Larry Bird? Daddy, you know Bobby Orr?
Right?
Daddy, you know Ted Williams?" I said, "No, they know Daddy." I said, "In a lot of circles, Daddy's a celebrity, but what am I to you guys? I'm Daddy."
Yeah.
You know what? They're daddies too. They're no different than you and I, and you're no different than them. Treat everybody the same. It's just what we do for work.
Right, and that's another thing that I love about Neal. I've talked about, all of my friends, that I choose to have are now positive people. Look at the right way to do things. Look at the positive way to do things. Don't put other people down, and that's super exciting. That's one of the things I like about Neal. I was called old last night because we were at a comedy show, and of course the comedian's doing crowd work, and she's like, "Oh, who do you know?" and stuff like that, and I happened to mention Bobby Hall because there were some Canadians in there, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you're old, Bobby Hall. You had to go with that. You couldn't go with somebody new, like Marc-Andre Fleury's new. You couldn't go." I'm like, "Okay, so I guess I am old."
Well, I go back being a sports fanatic. I played 2 years minor league baseball, so athletics are in my blood. And it's such a nice transition where I illustrate a lot of the nation's top athletes that I've played the game. I know what the game looks like. I know what it feels like. The eye-hand coordination. All the work I do is exclusively done with felt tip magic markers.
Right, and so that's one of the most amazing things that you look at. We're in his studio today, and he's got the felt tip markers all around, but all of his work is with felt tip markers. And we're going to give you Neal's website so you go check out his work, go check out his studio, but unbelievably talented. And
well, thanks.
Where did you realize you had this skill?
Listen, I've been drawing since I was 5 years old. Being a former athlete, I tore my knee up, became a statistic. I coached college baseball 15 years. It's no different than I used to tell my kids when I coached. The ability part you're born with. You learn a technique. You enhance the technique with repetition, practice. I've been doing it 45 years. I like to tell people I started when I was 2, but they ain't buying it. So I'm a lot older than that. But you know what it is? It's something that I really enjoy doing. And I get more enjoyment when a client commissions me to do something to get their reaction. That means more to me than the dollars are nice, but to make somebody's day. And I know we talked earlier in the studio, my passion is kids. I get involved with a lot of children's charities. I did a piece a number of years ago with the Children's Miracle Network on Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K at Duke. Yep. And we raised almost $500,000 by doing one drawing and 1,000 signed and numbered prints. It built a wing at Duke Children's Hospital from one drawing.
Yeah, see, and that's awesome. So that's one of the things I want to talk with all my friends, the guys who are in the business here. I know a lot of you guys do a lot of charity work. This would be a great way for you to go ahead and enhance that charity work. Connect with Neal, Portnoy Gallery, idrawpeople.com.
Correct.
Correct? idrawpeople.com. You can't, idrawcrowds.com also.
That's the
right?
entertainment side of what I do.
Okay.
I draw crowds is the entertainment
So
side.
we're going to get into that in a little bit, because not only does Neal do fantastic artwork, and when you're done, does illustrations and caricatures, right?
Listen, I was married for 10 years. She didn't know what the hell I did. How do you sell a visual product by audible means? My wife Dorothy is a curator of the gallery. She runs the gallery. I do nothing more now than draw. We love when people come down to the gallery because I can't explain what I do. You've got 45 years. It's really, I call it a gallery, but it's a museum. I mean, I was the official artist at the Basketball Hall of Fame for 4 years. I did the covers for the enshrinement. I do 12 NCAA Athletic Hall of Fames. I've done just about every entertainer. I was the illustrator at the Review Journal for 16 months, published 197 times.
Yeah, 197 in 16 months. Think about, you know, I was talking to my buddy Al, who's in from Chicago, who's in the studio with us today, and I was like, who can I relate Neal to? And again, being old, I came up with, who did I come up with, Albert? Who did I say he was? The guy who did all the plates and everything. Now I can't think of his name.
In the sports industry?
Not in the sports. The guy.
Norman Rockwell.
Norman Rockwell.
Oh, I've been called the Norman Rockwell.
He's the Norman Rockwell of sports.
Articles, yeah.
Total, and it's totally accurate. And here's the best part: go down to the studio and see this stuff, because we talk a lot about entertainment here in Las Vegas and the cost. Here's something that you can do for free. For free. Come check out his studio. Check out his artwork. Albert saw a picture that he just fell in love with. Albert, being a golfer, he was like, oh man, love this picture. You had Nicholas. Who else was in there?
Otto Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, and Gary Player, the big three.
Yeah, the big three, and it's a great illustration. I mean, the lighting and the shadow that you get out of drawing.
Well, here's the unique thing. Listen, for years I've been doing the caricatures. Everybody said, oh, he's the guy who does caricatures. I'm an illustrator. I work from reference photography, render the photography, in using marker from my medium. But when I cross over to do a portrait, not being formally trained as a portrait artist, there's always caricature in it. Caricature, every line's an expression. So even on the big three piece that Al bought today, it comes alive. It becomes very personified. It'll speak right back at you.
And I think that matters too, because you do idealize people when you see them, and there are certain characteristics or personalities that you're like, when you see that, when you capture that in a drawing, you see that and you go, yeah, that's them. That you've captured not just their image, but their personality.
Well, that's the whole thing. Is when you look at an illustration of a person, or even a pet, the eyes tell the whole story. And I tell people when they come to the gallery, walk around, look at the pictures. The eyes will follow you everywhere you go, and they're like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And that's just, when it comes alive, it becomes personified.
Yeah, so I've talked a lot about Neal, and it's Portnoy Galleries. What's the address of Portnoy Galleries?
1537 West Oakey Boulevard. We are on the corner of Oakey, Western, and Wyoming. There's a little business shopping plaza, and we're right in the plaza.
Yeah, and it's a great place to go look. I mean, there's so much history. You just turn and you look, and you turn and you look, and you turn and you look, and you're like, oh my God.
Well,
oh my God.
people come expecting to be there for 10, 15 minutes. I'm literally 2.5 hours later kicking you the hell out.
Yeah.
Because I got to work.
No, it's crazy.
It's
so amazing. But here's something that you told me about today, and I didn't even think about this. You know, everybody has the weddings now, and they have the big sign-in boards. Neal will do a sign-in board for you for your wedding with the bride and groom on it. So now you've commissioned Neal, that he's done art for the bride and groom. There's a great gift, and everybody signs that. And now they have a Portnoy hanging on their wall.
Yeah,
that's something that, you know, when I get married, I was married 21 years ago, but I wanted to have that. I'm like, oh, why didn't I know you then?
Well, it replaces that white book that everybody signs. Sure. That 4 years later, when you get divorced, you throw it in a drawer and you never see it again. This is 20 by 30 inches in size, and it's done from reference photography. You give me good head and shoulders of the groom and the bride, and then give me an activity. And then I illustrate it in the portrait caricature style. It's dated and hangs on an easel, so all of your guests who come to the event get to sign this special message. And you look at it for years late, years and years and years down the road.
Yeah, they are great images. So your latest series that you've been doing here in Vegas is a lot of the stars that are here performing.
There's a new hashtag now, and I have to credit Mystic Mona.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's the one who came up with it. She says, you're nobody in Vegas until you've been Portnoyed. And I went, Portnoyed? Hey, I kind of like that. So we got hashtag, have you been Portnoyed? And I started a new thing at the gallery. My marketing brainstorm is the Portnoy Wall of Honor. And there are currently 46 people on the wall. And of course, I'm very big into social media, so I'm posting all everywhere. Everyone's, well, I want to be Portnoy. I said, well,
Yeah.
you know what? Here's the pricing, because I don't do it for nothing.
Sure.
And you get to keep the original. And with the entertainers, I say to them, look, you got to think merchandise. You're not just getting a drawing from me, but utilize it, reproduce it, put it on your cards, your posters, wearable items after you do your meet and greet at the end of your show. A couple of the entertainers have taken hold of that. We're negotiating a major job, which I won't let out of the bag yet, down the road. But 3 Square and Opportunity Village. We have such a tremendous homeless and youth problems here in our 2.1 million small town Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows everybody.
Biggest little town, yeah.
But there's a way to raise huge amounts of money if it's marketed properly and you've got an existing database that you do a blast email for your tax deductible donation, and you get a beautiful work of art, and you get a corporate sponsor to put their branding, because everything today
Sure.
is branding, on the lithograph. They're paying for the project, costs the organization nothing if they can come up with this one person, and it's a win-win-win-win for everyone involved.
Yeah, so I want everyone out there that if you're thinking about doing a fundraiser, you're thinking about it, even for a school.
Sure.
Like, get a hold of Neal, talk to him. This gentleman knows how to market, and that's not everybody's strength, right? We talked about that.
The
What was
Bobby
it?
Knight theory,
Bobby Knight
play to
theory.
your strength, avoid your weakness.
Right? Play to
You
your
know,
strength.
I've
So-
always been, I'm kind of a unique bird in many different ways, but I've freelanced for 45 years. Other than the Review Journal hiring me full time and then deciding that it wasn't they didn't want to go that direction, they'd rather use photographs. I haven't worked for anybody but myself.
Sure.
So, somebody asked me, well, geez, you must be a multimillionaire. How's your credit? And I looked at him and said, my credit's excellent. I owe everybody.
Right.
You don't know where the next dollar is coming from, but if all I had to do was sit and draw all day, it'd be a wonderful world. I'm on the computer, I'm doing my social media, I'm marketing.
You're coming
we're
on
setting
radio
up
shows
appointments, I'm
when
doing
Steve
radio
Allen
shows,
asks you
last
to-
minute radio shows. Right? But you know what? You never know who you're going to meet. And I am a firm believer that you meet people in your life because you're supposed to.
Yeah.
That
no,
moment is
I-
supposed to happen.
It is crazy. The things that have happened in my life to get me to where I'm at. I'm a firm believer in that also. And I think that's why I like you. I mean, Neal and I are friends on Facebook, and been passing messages back and
Sure.
forth and stuff like that for the longest time. And I do want to say thank you. I've had a lot of people say this. When I meet them for the first time after being on Facebook, I knew who you were when you walked.
I did. I said that to you. I said,
So-
and listen, what do I deal with? I deal with faces.
So I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, and it's nice having these positive people with these positive messages doing positive things for the community and helping other people out do positive things. I mean,
Look,
that's
the
amazing.
more you give, the more tenfold will come back to you, and that's hard for a lot of people to grasp onto.
sure. We're not brought up that way.
I'm a seed planter. You may not need me now or want to, commission me now or use something or come up, but you know what? Just the thought that I planted either in your mind, or I gave you literature, or you saw something I posted, it's going to sit with you. You never know when.
And it is amazing the things that you've done. So I want to go into some of the people that you've drawn, because the list is it's mind-boggling for the people that actually commissioned you to draw them.
Well, I've done work with Jack Nicklaus. I did the Major League Baseball commissioned me to do the Ted Williams piece when Ted retired.
So I have a little history with Ted Williams because
Okay.
my father worked for Sears, and Ted Williams was the Sears spokesperson.
Sure.
And the first glove that he sold for Sears, the first brand, was the glove I played with in Little League, and he autographed.
Wow.
Now, like an idiot, I don't have that glove anymore.
I saw it on eBay last week, by the way. They got a fortune for it.
But I played. But yeah, so I mean that's amazing. That's like a baseball grade. Major League said we want him captured.
Yeah, but you
and-
listen,
and you
listen,
did that.
they're no different than you and I. This is what they do for work. This is what I keep trying to tell people is, we look at Major League Baseball and the NFL and the NHL and all of these, and we put these kids, because they're all kids,
Oh yeah.
on pedestals, and you realize they're in their 20s and I'm in my 60s, and it's like, When the hell did that happen?
Yeah, no, because I can still do that. And then you go try and you
You know,
can't.
I've said to people, if they ever move the mound up to Little League distance, I'm
I'm
coming
in.
back.
You're in.
I'm coming
I'll
back.
catch for you. I caught for
Perfect.
36 years.
Perfect. That's what it's
So
been.
Eric Soderholm for the Chicago
Yeah,
White Sox
sure.
actually taught me how to bat in his house.
Wow.
So he has. So he had a batting cage in his house. It wasn't like, it was in his house. It had the painted the same as the house. It was 3 step downs off the kitchen, and he had people over. And I'm like, that's amazing. These
Times
guys are
have changed
so
now
cool.
because you've got AAU baseball, you've got
Yep.
AAU basketball. These kids are looked at from grade school on up. Parents are getting in their vehicles and they're now taxis. They're putting down the meter and
Yeah.
traveling and spending a fortune. Whatever happened to I'm going to grab my sneakers? Well, they are no longer sneakers. They're athletic footwear, and because we can call them athletic footwear, they're $3.2 million, and we'll put our name on this.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
The expense is nuts.
When I played ball, I would tuck my glove underneath my arm. I'd throw my spikes over my shoulder, and I'd get on the team bus.
Right.
Now, these players today have their Armani 3-piece suits, their 4 agents behind them, and they're on a private jet
Right.
with their 3 agents.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
It is
playing
amazing
game-
how
it's a game.
how it's changed.
It's a game.
To play. Yeah,
It's
it
a
is a game, and I did love it when it was the game. I loved it when I played, and it was a game back then. I mean, I remember riding the bus, being a catcher. I had the ice chest and I had the saran wrap. So I'd wrap my knees and I'd wrap my shoulder,
Oh, yeah.
and I'd be
Right.
riding on the bus, and the bus is 1,000 degrees because no air conditioning on the buses, and windows rolled down, but I had my ice on so I could,
See, when I played, I was a breaking ball pitcher. I was a scholarship pitcher for Coach Frazier at UMiami back in the 70s. When I got hired to be the pitching coach, I was a pitching coach at Worcester State University on the East Coast, Assumption College, which was a D2 school, and then I revamped the whole program at a JUCO at Quinsigamond Community. But when the head coach, Dirk Baker, great baseball name, hired me, he brings me into the gym, and he said, I'd like to introduce our new pitching coach, Neal Portnoy. Now, the kids are all up in the bleachers. You could hear him. Jesus, he looks more like a catcher. I said, all right, give me the ball, get in the cage. I hadn't thrown in 20 years. I loosened up. I felt pretty good. Testosterone level running high, right? Now, nothing out of my hand ever came straight. I can never throw anything straight. Always had movement. That's why I was
great. Yeah.
what I did. So I'm throwing BP in the cage, and the kids can't even touch it. They're missing. They're running. All of a sudden, the kid gets a little contact, and now I'm pissed.
Sure.
So I took a curveball, broke off a curveball, which was my pitch. Kid's knees buckled. He dropped the bat. He looks at me and says, Coach, what the hell was that? It broke about 6 inches. So I calmly walked up to him and said, no, you don't understand. It used to break 12.
Right?
And the kid looks and says, Coach, can you teach me that? And I looked, I said, under one condition, you're a sponge. And what does a sponge do? It absorbs. If you listened, if God wanted us to talk more, you know what? He would have given us 2 mouths and 1 ear. Do I have your attention? And I led Worcester State University 3 straight years. We made it to the NCAA tournament on a team that would win 6 games every year. We had the lowest ERA D3 in the state that year, just because they listen.
Yeah, and that's it today. And that's a good lesson for everybody. I mean, it is so important to listen. There are so many things you do. I always tell everybody, I don't really want to know anything. I want to know the people who know what they're doing, then listen to them and have them guide me through it. Because I could take the time to learn, and I do learn, but it's so much easier if you listen to the person who knows what they're doing, then you can build on that. You start so much higher up.
Well, you learn the technique.
Yeah.
And if you don't practice it, it's the same thing. I made it through school reading trots.
Really?
I don't think I ever read a book.
Really?
But there's a reason. My eyes over the years are trained to look at shapes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because
Words are straight lines. I get bored. I read well, but I get bored and
Sure,
I don't
makes sense.
remember it. So I would have to write it down. And listen,
he'd illustrate the story.
we could. And I've seen this posted on social media. We could disable the youth of today. All we have to do is write in cursive and drive a stick shift.
Right?
And they have
you're
no
right.
idea.
They're like, how'd you do that?
Yeah, right. They have
That's
no idea.
amazing. So who else? So we were talking about Ted Williams' last
Jay
name.
Leno. I did a piece for Jay Leno back in the 80s. I've done work with Doug Flutie for the Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation for Autism. Louis El Tiante, the former Cleveland Indian, Boston Red Sox pitcher who should be in the Hall of Fame. I've done work with him. Drew Bledsoe. Paul Abdul. I did Paula's wedding. I performed live doing the live caricatures and did one of those sign-in boards. And here in Vegas, everybody from Clinton, Kelly Holmes to Lanny Counts to all the people. Jonathan Scott, who's got a radio
Yeah,
show.
Jonathan Scott. Jonathan, I hope you're listening. If not, Melissa, tell him to listen. I know
He's
he
a piece
should
of
be
work.
there.
I have no other way to describe him.
He's great.
And of course, he was Portnoy. He's on the Portnoy Wall of
Portnoy.
Honor. Listen, you meet somebody new every day. I was at John Walsh's event last year, and got the opportunity to meet Raleigh Fingers.
Wow.
Raleigh lives here in Vegas,
so you're in
down
Vegas,
in
yeah.
Southern Highlands. Mike Tyson, Albie Shore.
It's so amazing.
But we're all here.
Right, and it is so nice. Like I said, I get to hang around with these people all day long, and I feel so blessed because they're all so positive.
Yeah.
And every so there are some negative ones. I go, yeah, but I don't hang around with them. How cool is that? I just hang around with the nice, good people that are fun.
Well, you'll meet people here in Vegas. I have in the 2.5 years I've been here that were friends initially, and then you learn and you move on.
But there's so many good people. You're right. There's so many good people, and one of the things I love about, not only will Neal do the illustration or the caricature for you, but you're going to be entertained while he does it. So the I Draw Crowds is your entertainment side.
Yeah,
and
it's everything you've ever seen, and I don't mean to interrupt, but you get me talking, then I'll shut up.
That's why you're here.
Everything you've ever seen about a caricature artist on the strip and everything else, and they do the big eyes and the big smile, and really, some of them look, it's not what I do.
Right.
I do a cartoon of the person in full color in 3 to 5 minutes, but you can't shut me up the entire time. I've literally been called Don Rickles with a pen.
Which is awesome.
You have got to be very brave to sit across from me. I mean, I'm looking at some of the characters here in the studio, and you know what? I'm leaving my pen in my pocket because I'd have a field day. But woman sits across me, and I think I mentioned this today. I'm at a national trade show. It's the AARP National Convention, and my client is United Healthcare. They hired me to come in and entertain at their trade show. So this woman sits across me, and I looked at her and I said, now tell me, what the hell color hair would you like me to give you? Because obviously you can't make a choice. And the crowd goes nuts. Guy sits across me, and I looked and said, tell me now, when did you break the nose? And he looks at me and said, I never broke it. I said, well, don't worry, I can fix it. A young girl sat across me, looked at me, and said, so when did you get the braces off? She said, I never had braces. I said, well, that's probably why.
Why?
So
that is awesome.
Crazy.
Yeah, and as I said, you have an artist here, and you're used to seeing artists, and maybe they have the camera on the drawing. He has a microphone.
Oh, yeah.
You put a microphone on Neal, and he goes for it. I mean, truly,
if you're
truly
10,
amazing.
15 feet away from me and you say something, I hear everything.
That's great.
So I bring you in, and it's a show. And that's why, the $100 an hour caricaturist on the strip, it's not that I wouldn't do it for, I don't have the time to do it for that price. So I have a fee structure that people hire me to come in, and I say, look, I'll almost guarantee you'll be the busiest booth at the trade show because I draw a crowd. That's why idrawcrowds.com. Well, what do you do? I said, well, you go to the website, look at the video. I can't explain what I do.
Yeah, everybody do that. Yeah. Not right now. Wait till the show's over. But immediately after the show, do that. Because it is totally worth it. The video is fantastic. You get to see Neal's personality in visual form.
I also got to throw in, now that we're at UNLV, I did UNLV's Athletic Hall of Fame.
Oh, I saw that drawing.
Last
It's
year.
very nice.
They commissioned me to do the 9 individuals that went into the Hall of Fame. I did the portrait cartoon style of each individual playing their sport. And the original was triple matted, framed on an easel outside the reception of the induction to the Hall of Fame class. Here's a real neat thing they did. I printed for them, for a cost, 350 reproductions of the original drawing.
Wow.
And they were given out to all the people who came to the event. Needless to say, they were gone in a half hour. The best part about it is at the end of the ceremony and the end of the dinner, people were walking around and having the inductees sign them. Which was a great idea.
Great idea. But yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if you want to raise money, you need to get a hold of Neal. I also want to talk to all my buddies who are doing tours out there. You go to Pawn Stars, you go to Count's Custom. You want to take somebody someplace they haven't been, take them to Portnoy Gallery. So, address again of the gallery.
1537 West Oakey Boulevard, the corner of Oakey, Weston, and Wyoming. And we're generally there, I am at least, 9 to 3:30, 3:30 every day. The number is 702-685-2929. 702-685-2929. We always say call first because we're out in the community doing a lot of networking, And if you want to come by the gallery, even if it's not during the times we're open, call first and we'll make the special trip down to show you the gallery.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it's idrawpeople.com.
IDrawPeople.com.
idrawcrowds.com. But go idrawpeople, go to idrawcrowds.
You've got Neal
Go check
Portnoy,
it.
nealportnoy.com, Vegas caricature artist. I don't know. I got a zillion sites. They all point,
To this-
thank God, to that idrawpeople.com.
People.com. That's fantastic. And again, I will put this show up again on my website, which is whathappened.world. It'll come up as a podcast this Saturday at 9 o'clock, so we can re-listen to it. That's one thing I love doing radio, but it's live and it goes away.
Sure.
So I've recorded this. It becomes a podcast. It's on iTunes. It's on Google Play. Search What Happened to Las Vegas Today, TO, What Happened to Las Vegas Today. And you'll be able to find it. But the easiest way to get to all my stuff is go to whathappened.world, and you can get to everything. You can get to my Facebook, my Instagram, my YouTube shows, my podcasts.
Your bank account, anything else.
Anything you want. Yeah,
you
you want.
get there, right?
There's nothing in there right now, so go for it. If you want to put money in there, that's always
That's
a plus.
why I brought
That's
it
always
up.
a plus. So
Perfect.
I appreciate that. But I really want to thank you, Neal, for coming in. I really am so happy that I consider you a friend, and I love all the stuff that you're doing.
We'll do it again.
And we will do it again,
again.
and we'll get some people, some artists, any of my friends out there who are artists that are performer artists that want to raise some money for their charities, get a hold of Neal, get Portnoy, and use those. So I want to thank you very much for coming in.
Pleasure.
It was
Thank
a
you.
pleasure and a lot of fun. So go to idrawpeople.com, check Neal's stuff out, and we are ready to send you back to the regularly scheduled craziness that goes here on the EMG radio show. And thank you all very much, and we will see you in a couple weeks. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks because school's starting up. We have holidays coming. So from What Happened to Las Vegas Today, this is Steve Allen and Neal Portnoy at 91.5 KUNV HD2, The Rebel.